Talked about this steady recruitment that they've had over the last few years. Is that why they are now where they are?
Yeah, absolutely is. I mean, the football has improved, but they've built kind of from front to back on that list. You know, ended up with the goalkeeper, Van Dijk, of course, coming in as well. So that's been impressive. Just want to go back. Nathaniel Klein, it still doesn't bother me, but with Joe Gomez injured, and I know Trent Alexander-Arnold was injured just after he'd left, why let him go? You know, you're on for a special season. We've seen James Milner play it right back against Palace and have a bit of a nightmare against Zaha. Jordan Henderson played right back and was good going forward, but struggled defensively. I just was surprised that they allowed him to go, given the other defenders that are injured. Other than that, I mean, it's been beautifully crafted, this team. Steady improvement all the way along through now when they're looking like a championship side.
Carl, it's interesting what Neil there said about the dynamic and Klopp not wanting to break it, change it, alter what is going so well right now. That's the balance he's got. He might have been tempted to bring somebody in, but then the risk might have outweighed the reward.
Yeah, because the slow build sometimes is a manager not being backed. Go back to the beginning of that. He wasn't asking for players. If you remember at the beginning when they were having defensive issues and all these problems, you never once heard Jurgen Klopp said, we need to go buy. It was only after he had the proof of the project and they built. And listen, there's risk in some of their buys, not in the money they spent, but Robertson, to think he was ready to perform at the level he performed at when he came in and still performs at. Wijnaldum, typically teams fighting for titles don't go and poach from teams that just got relegated. And Shaqiri, a player that everyone thinks has a problem. And even Van Dijk. January is not when you buy big players. Defenders typically don't get that much money. And also, he was a problem, so to speak, and he wasn't playing for the team, and he was playing with the reserves at Southampton. All of that worked out based on great recruitment, and he asked for great recruitment at the beginning. Remember, Brendan Rodgers had the committee that sort of undid him, and this has been a way of how to run a club, and that's why they're in their position.
And Jurgen Klopp, I mean, I know you were talking about the fullback situation, but on the whole, he doesn't need anybody, so why rock the boat?
Absolutely. I have to agree with Robbie Mustoe, though. The Nathaniel Klein thing bothers me a little bit. If you need him for 2 minutes in a game to win a title, when you're winning a title, if Nathaniel Klein's so desperate to leave, is one of those guys you think might not be good around, but if you hear he's a good lad in the dressing room, everything's going fine, you just don't know when you need him. But that apart, Rebecca, it's been perfect. And we have to point to the last two signings. Virgil van Dijk, everyone's talking about the money, and the goalkeeper. Alisson has come in there, and the problem that they've had has been solved. And that's why, with 14 games to go, they're a 5-point gap. And at the end of May, middle of May, we should see some red ribbons on the Premier League title for the first time.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Lowe, studio host for NBC's coverage of the Premier League. Don't forget to hit subscribe to watch highlights all season long, and be sure to tune in for Premier League mornings on NBCSN.